He
And
plays the different roles, so
like
that's
the
what you have to
Democratic
But that's what
understand.
I'm saying. Like, I don't think at all. I don't think identity should even matter at all.
It
Like,
shouldn't
it should
have.
not be a
She's using it as a
shouldn't
crutch. They're trying to say because she's black. They're trying to say because she's a woman. I love Tulsi Gabbard, and I personally wouldn't mind if she was in a higher position than she is now. Personally, they need to make her Secretary of State something.
Yes.
And then that goes into the identity politics and all that. Why are you allowing who you are and your being to hinder you, or you think that it's hindering you from getting to a certain position? And then to speak about policy, as soon as Joe Biden got out the race and they said it was Kamala Harris, she didn't even make an announcement, and there were already Black women, Hispanic women, gay people literally rallying, raising millions and billions of dollars for her with not one policy on her website. She just put policies on her website. Now, granted,
That was smart. That was smart. She knows her audience. She knows her audience.
She knows that they're dumb.
She knows her audience. She knows like all. She didn't have no policy.
Hold on. Jordan, wait. Let Gypsy, because Gypsy's mic been kind of. Go ahead.
When it was rumored that Biden was going to step down, Black women pressured him to bring a Black woman candidate, which was going to be Kamala. Now, when it comes to her race, she would technically be the tragic mulatto. She would be the biracial. She's not Black, and Black is not just skin color. It's also a status in America. So when people are saying she hasn't been through the Black struggle, poverty, disenfranchisement, those type of things, we had already gotten that out the way. She was born in 1960, 65. The Civil Rights Bill passed, so she never went through any of that, and then she moved out of the country, so she really never experienced what we went through. And her being, she said she was middle class, she was rich, upper middle class, or even wealthy, because her mom came from a rich Indian family, a high-ranking Indian. Her dad came from slave owners. So what got me was when Beyonce was endorsing Kamala on stage, she said 248 years or 247 years, something to that effect, as if she's been through what Black people historically have been through. And to me, that was very offensive, because 247 years ago, her family was still enslaving people. Even after they freed the slaves, after fighting to keep them, they made them house servants. That's who's in those pictures that she's claiming is her grandparents. Those were your mammies, your caregivers. And about the greens, we did wash our greens in a tub, but it was not a bathtub. It was a metal bowl pan that sat outside that you washed your vegetables in. You brought them in clean. I don't care if you got 10,000 pounds of greens to wash. You're not washing them in a bathtub. Mm-hmm. And the fact that people, like I say, if Black people or white people or anybody that votes for Trump is a racist or sexist or a misogynist or like any of those things, then the people who vote for Kamala are washing their greens for Thanksgiving in the bathtub. Like we can accept being what we are, what y'all want to call us, but you're gonna have to be what I call it, bathtub greens with a side of bacon. We don't need to put bacon in our greens, and it's not a big deal, but it is, because you haven't even taken the time to go experience the culture to try to mock it. It's like you're reading it out of like a sitcom or something.
Right. And also to add, Trump is our only president whose family never owned slaves. If we so caught up in this racist talk and this person racist and that person racist, let's talk about it. He's the only president we had that don't come from a history of having slaves. Kamala Harris' family owned slaves. The plantation is still there today, Brownstown Plantation in Brownstown, Jamaica.
And that's why they say he's KKK. They will never say he came from slave owners.
Everybody's KKK to Black people.
Right.
And every white person is the KKK to Black people. Black people need healing.
I don't believe, but
what I think need to stop is, I think BET need to stop showing Django. I think BET need to stop showing Roots, because those type of shows leave you mentally enslaved and it lowers your vibration. I feel like it's a strategic move by the Democratic Party that's in Hollywood to put these type of movies on slaves to remind us, if y'all ever get out of line, look where you came from.
And all
because
of us
they do not have to show that. They do not have to show that as our history. Our history goes way far back. And even if you want to say, okay, well, this is the American history, we still got some good things that we've done in America where we do not have to show Jamie Foxx balls about to get cut off in the movie. That's just insane.
No, they said America was never great for Black people.
So Madam C.J. Walker, she was the first Black woman that was a millionaire. Madam C.J. Walker, most people don't know about her either. She was the first.
America has been great to me. I don't know what the hell anybody's talking about. I was born in 1986. From the time I was born, my whole childhood up to now, I have been happy. I have been healthy. I have been free. I have been able to eat what I want, say what I want, go where I want. And I've never had no white person come up to me and say anything racist to me. The
Can I ask a question
I experienced in America was from Black people.
I don't know why.
That's a question to the panel.
That's so fact.
Just real quick, just to ask everybody, do y'all think part of this is because like the younger generation, like Gen Z, because we grew up with the internet and we get so much thrown at us at one time? Do you think that has anything to do with how the race tension has risen since I think like 2015 has really gotten really tense? Do you think the internet has anything to do with that?
I feel like
it contributes to short attention spans. They don't think. They look at a 10-second clip and think that they know everything about a person.
I just feel like every time, like Morgan Freeman said, and I'm a true believer of this, and I was called a bootlicker, whatever, because I said this. I honestly think they need to get rid of Black History Month because they're not showing anything that's really positive. I'm so tired of seeing the same slave movies over and over. Rosewood, Django, Roots. I'm tired of it. You know what I'm saying?
I like
these are the things.
It's a good movie, but it does get you fiery. Let's be real. Like I was angry.
It messes up your vibration. It makes you mentally angry. And when you see after you watch that movie, you go outside and you see a white person, you looking like I want revenge. It's purposely made to make you feel like that. That's how you keep the country divided. The longer we stay divided, the more the government win. If we come together, they cannot defeat us, and they know it. That's why the Democratic Party run off of separation and racism.
This is all made up. Like the reaction they want from us, it's like we give them, whether we're on one side or the other side. This is all made up. Like the internet is not a real place. Like that's what people need to go out and touch grass. Like, I see this 10-second and I know everything and Kamala and blah, blah.
We gotta call it what it is.
It's not real. Like it's people on the internet talking, saying their dissertation. Like go read a book, go get an education.
The problem is the books are indoctrination too. You can't.
I was about to say that they're ran by leftist institutions.
Every book is not gonna educate. But
it's also
CRT is a real thing. CRT is a real thing.
Hold on.
CRT?
I would say is a historic. That is more based on history. The other stuff is all, to me, it's a fantasy because my family didn't come from slaves. They came from sharecroppers. They were here before the white people came. They were already here. My grandma's family are indigenous to North Carolina. That's where I'm from. I did my mail-in ballot because I live in Minneapolis right now. But my family are Lumbee Indians. And so they were never nobody's slave. They still have, they just got rid of some of the land, the last bit of their land because nobody wanted to keep up with it. But what it does is it teaches you that you were slaves, whether you were or not. It just puts you in a lower class, which is why Black is more of a class than just a race, because anybody, an African can come to America and say they're Black. In America, yes, you are Black, but you also don't have the same history as the real Black people. So now we don't go by Black no more. We go by BIPOC and we go by people of color because what they want to do is mix everybody in so that when they do have to finally give Black people what they owe them, they can give it to everybody, and then they can just fuck us over one more time, again and again and again and again.
Well, all right, hold on. I'm gonna come to you, Jordan. Alicia, what are your thoughts on all of this? Because I see facial expressions, but I don't necessarily see you jumping in. Let me get your thoughts.
No, I'm not gonna interrupt. It's just the stuff I'm hearing. I just never heard it before. I'm sorry, but
like what?
It was a couple of things. The first thing was, I think Gypsy said something about Black not being a color, right? Like, well, that's exactly what it is. That's what you present yourself to in society. So that kind of threw me off. And then getting rid of like all of our historical movies as though it didn't happen, right? If it angers you or enrages you, it doesn't mean that it didn't happen just if you cut it off. It's still a part of your history. You can't just erase it.
Amistad is not real. There was never a ship that traveled from Africa to America. They didn't have ships
how
did
did we get here to share your land with your family?
That story, everybody has their own flavor in that story, right? At the end of the day, we know the slavery did happen.
People regardless did come, but it wasn't the millions. It's not the millions that they
regardless
said it was.
If we were shipped here, regardless if we were here already, regardless whatever, it happened. But the movies we get it, we got it. You don't have to keep showing it. We understand what happened. Give us something. Okay, give us something. Why is it a movie showing you how you beat the shit out of us? And then you gotta understand.
Bug broke our black men.
Everybody is
not
as sane as Alicia. You understand? Everybody is not mentally sane. Let me get this
of light. I'm sorry. Black is the absence of light. It's not a real color. It's not a real pigment.
We're all shades of wheat.
And I'm a cosmetologist, so when we really want to talk about like color, we can get real like technical about it. Yes, in America, black is a race and it's also a class, but it's not a real color. Real colors are red, blue, and yellow, and they make
technically a shade.
So what I feel about the movie thing, Alicia, everybody's not sane like you. You understand what I'm saying? So you got this movie on television. All types of people are watching this movie. You got people that's not right in the head. You got people that just don't get that it's just a movie at this moment. You know what I'm saying? Some people take Hollywood magic real seriously and they get hypnotized into the television. You understand what I'm saying? So you showing this to white folk, you showing this to black folk, because white people watch BET too. Then you put them in schools together. Now everybody, yeah. The white man this, the white man that, black people this, oh, you was my slave. Now everybody throwing shots at each other and they want to fight. Why? Because your frequency's so fucked up. You done showed the white people that.
Don't know how to read. If you are educated, if you get an education, you take your education seriously. I don't even mean you have to go to college or the traditional American education. If you just pick up a book from different perspectives, who cares if it's CRT? Who cares? Just pick up a book and get different perspectives. It can be from a racist white man. It can be from a progressive black woman. Read both perspectives. So when you see a movie like Django and all the other things that they want us to consume, you can at least see it and not get so emotional. Because yes, it did happen, but the problem is these people don't know how to read. Yeah, our children don't know how to read.
We really just don't have minds of our own. I think we're not making decisions.
That's you, because your education and you smart to understand. You don't get sucked into Hollywood hypnosis. You have to understand that we're in America and we rank at the bottom in education. You understand? So you got people that just don't have it to understand, like, okay, let me just go read a book, or let me understand that this is just a television show. Let me separate reality from what I just seen on television, because we're not slaves anymore.
What I'm saying is that's the problem. And coming from an outside perspective, you're looking at an outsider who's a raging liberal, whatever, progressive, 20 years old. You have on one side, they relate to that. Like, I actually believe they're genuine in saying Kamala's a black woman. I really agree with her policies, whatever they are. Don't know. They can't explain it to me. But I believe they're actually genuine. I don't think they're BSing us saying Kamala is best for this country. I may disagree with them. I forgot where I was going with that. But if you don't have the education to back that up, or intellect, they're going to believe whatever. That's why you have all these people, all these young Gen Z people who can't give you a sentence of what Kamala's policies are and why they support them. They can't give you any reason, whether it's just basic or broad. They can't give you a reason. It's because they're not educated.
I'm sorry, but to piggyback off what you're saying, Miss Jordan, I also think that we need to take into account that, especially like you picking off what you said about how our children can't read, it is the worst in the Black and brown community. It just is. And like they've always said back in the day, the best way to like, what are some of the ways to keep a slave a slave? They didn't let them read. So what's going on? Kids cannot read. So they're just being told what's happening, and people are just agreeing with them. They can't, they're not doing the research themselves. And I'm not saying that they can't, but let's be honest about the culture that it is not pushed. Like if we're being honest about it, like the stereotype Asians, how they study more, they tend to be more better in academics than any other kind of race, even compared to white people. So it also goes back to culture, and that's why we need to push better culture. That's why we need fathers in the home so that they can push, okay, mommy and daddy are home, we're gonna somebody's gonna sit down with you, help you with your homework. It doesn't happen a lot. There's only one parent in the household. So I feel like we also have to take that to account. Like I said, out of my whole neighborhood, out of my whole entire school, I was the only person that got into one of the top schools in Philadelphia. So if we put that into perspective, like I said, I grew up in North Philly. I grew up in the worst city, literally drug dealers would hide drugs in my neighborhood. Like we were not allowed to go outside. That's how bad it was. But thank God I grew up in a culture where I was pushed, my academics were pushed. I can't say the same for everybody else around me. Oh, you trying to be white? Why are you trying to be educated? It's a culture problem. So it also does go back to culture, and we have to take that into account. Like you said, a lot of people, our kids cannot read. COVID has a very big part to do with that, especially our kids being locked in the house for 2 years. But again, we need to push a better culture. And I feel like people need to push that oh, it's not white assimilation to be educated. Black people can be educated, Hispanics, Asians, whatever. But statistically, Black and brown people tend to do worse. We are the worst uneducated. We are the most uneducated people. So yes, it goes back to culture.
And that's our own fault.
Black is at the bottom, white is at the top. That's why they say you're acting white.
White people are not at the top. White people are in the middle.
So we know that. We know that. But the perception
talking about
that they're at the top.
I'm just talking about the placement in society. Just like she said, Asians, they study more. That's because they come from a culture where once you fail your grade, once you're doing bad in school, they put you in a factory. They have child labor in China. So they come
Tiger moms, that's a real thing.
They're fighting for their lives. They're fighting for their lives. And it's not just Black and brown that can't read. None of the kids can read. It's not just the Black schools that are doing bad. All of the schools are. Unless you're in a school where the teacher is a small classroom. The kids that are better off that do well have tutors. I was paying $500 a month for my son to have a tutor, just so that he could catch up because of COVID. So it's not just we have to fix our culture. It's a lot of hillbillies out there. It's a lot of poor white.
But again, we're talking about into your child too.
Statistically, we're talking about Black and brown.
You spend $500 a month and you invest it into your child. These parents are not doing that.
And some people can't.
They're spending the $500 on Jordans. That's what they're spending that $500 on.
Thank you, Crystal.
I'm a union worker, so
you know how many times I would be on a public transportation and you see a guy with a Gucci belt on and he got on fresh kicks,
it's a fake
and he got
Gucci
on
belt.
It's not even real. On the True Religion
it's not even a real belt. It's not real. The frames are fake. The half the time the joints are fake. Baby, that's DH Gate all day. What you see is not real. Those people did not go and buy
especially men, because men especially.
And even if you bought one Gucci belt, like $500 a month for a tutor is a whole lot more than one Gucci belt.
Okay, so hold on.
It may help with the child tax credit.
So hold on. Let me run some interference real quick. Jordan, what's wrong? Talk to me.
Huh?
Jordan.
What's wrong? There's nothing wrong. I'm just listening.
Talk to me. Tell me what's on your mind. What's happening?
Well, I really want to get off race because if we're what the determiner of how someone's gonna do well is socioeconomic status. You can take two Black people. It's not dependent on whether they're Black. It's dependent on their socioeconomic, what they grew up with. So I'm just trying to figure that out. I keep saying Black kids can't read. No kids can read. I'm just thinking.
Sorry, comment on that.
America being ranked lowest low on the totem pole as far as like the global world on education does not just equal Black and brown kids not being able to read. That's the system, period. And it's a lot of adults that graduated college that are dumb. I work with them every day.
I guess my point of bringing that up is because if we're starting the conversation off saying, well, Kamala is able to pander to Black and brown people, then we have to look at that segment of people, which is why I'm saying, okay, these Black kids, whether they grew up rich or poor, they're both voting for her. And it has to be, it's not, when I'm saying education, I'm not talking about middle school, high school. I'm not talking about the traditional American system, education system. I'm talking about getting outside, picking up a book, having conversations with people, and actually educating yourself. I don't really care what degree you have or what education level, if you dropped out of high school. I can tell if you're educated or not, because when I ask you a question, you can answer it.
If we're separated by race, you're not going to go and pick a random white person on the street and have a conversation with them, because your preconceived notion is that they're racist. Their preconceived notion is that you're a thug.
Speak for yourself, Gypsy. I love talking to
women going out
white
having conversations with
I don't think
strangers.
people really think like that.
I just so happen to work in a very diverse industry where I'm around. I have very celebrity clients, and then I also have the clients that grew up in the hood with me. I'm like very diverse in my network, so I'm hearing what people are saying, and the common denominator is just that they don't have it. Even if you have a mother and a father in a home, the way society is right now, as expensive it is, nobody's at home with the kids. Everybody's at work.
That's a lie.
When they get off work, my
husband's at home.
They may have to DoorDash on the side.
Works from home.
That's a lie, but that's just a lie.
Everybody can't work from home. Everybody can't.
That's not true. The problem is the people
Let me finish. Also, if you're working from home, you have to work. You're not